This is Mike Dante of the Rogue Wave podcast. Thrilled and honored to be with Brian O'Halloran from Clerks fame. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, Mike.
I actually genuinely mean it. It is a thrill to meet you, and Jeff as well, too. Clerks was one of my favorite movies when we were in high school. It's amazing to even think and a little scary to think. Take me back to that original filming. What were your expectations for that film compared to what it ended up becoming?
My expectations was just to get through the night remembering all the dialogue that Kevin writes. That's what my expectation was. But after we were done, and Kevin literally had raw film to put together on a Steenbeck that they had set up in the video store, and he would edit at night and work the actual quick stop during the day. So not knowing what was going on during that entire summer period, because once I was done in April, March when we wrapped up shooting of the Clerks, I was doing other things and really didn't stay in touch with what was going on with the film because the process was just so much longer back then because you literally cut and taped together actual pieces of film to put the film together. So once it finally got finished and we saw a screening of it, I was amazed at how well Kevin had put it together and just how genuinely raw and funny it was. So what we thought was really good, we didn't know if it would translate to other people, but thankfully it did.
For all the Gen Zers and millennials, this was pre-internet, so to find something underground, to find something rogue like Clerks, was actually kind of a thrill for me as a teenager. What was it like for you guys?
Well, it was definitely a word-of-mouth kind of film. It wasn't that type of thing where, we had the budget to have billboards on different, subways or something like that, because that's the way you found out was like, dude, you got to see this new movie. Or you had to have a really, really good video store, really good, either independent kind of video store where someone who was a really good curator of a collection would be like, you got to watch this, like either French films or any type of films that came out of Hong Kong, action kind of martial arts kind of films, things like that. So it was that kind of thing that got passed around. The one thing that was smart that Miramax did was in 94 when the film was about to be released in October of 94, Woodstock 94 happened, and they had hundreds of bands over the 4 or 5 days period, how long that festival was. And at night they wouldn't do bands because people were sleeping or they were just getting whacked out of their minds. So they would show movies, and we were one of the movies that was shown to the 50 or 60,000 people that were at that Woodstock. And so it's weird to think that, hey man, I was at Woodstock in 94. In a weird way, it was kind of cool to know that kind of word of mouth. And then when it hit the college circuit, it was that type of thing where the tapes were passed around from party to party or person to person. And me and Jeff once went to a VHS convention where producers of films would go to these conventions to try to sell movie rental store owners, chain owners to buy cases of our tapes to rent out. And we were at an after trade show function where one of the major Blockbuster executives came over to me and Jeff and said to us, like, do you know your movie is one of the most non-returned and stolen movies in our industry? And I was like, oh, that's great. Well, that's our fan base, a bunch of cheap thieves. I said, do you want 20 more cases? That kind of thing. So it's that kind of funny yet not funny, and we're blessed to have fans who took it and really related to what we were doing, what we were trying to say as the characters that Kevin wrote, but also for Kevin to just write what he knew and get it out there, that it's so beloved even to this day that we came back to do it again, for Clerks 2 and the Clerks cartoon, and now here we are, nearly 30 years later, putting out a Clerks 3 coming out this fall. So
that's a great segue. I was going to ask, what's the progress? What's the expectation?
Yeah, it's done. It's wrapped. Everything has been put together by Kevin, and now it's in the hands of Lionsgate's people to put a marketing plan together. I know we're planning some sort of interview, photo shoot kind of thing for marketing purposes, and now I'm hearing that we're looking for a fall release. It's not really a summer blockbuster kind of movie kind of thing. It's a good kind of when students are back in college kind of movie where they can go to see shows, that type of thing. So I think it's right in that heart of the time that we always like coming out.
Last question, because I know you're a busy man. Dream acting gig or dream entertainment gig, franchise gig?
Oh, listen, anything. There's 4 universes in my world, and that would be like, obviously I'm part of the View Askew universe, so I'm been there and have done that. Would love to do anything in the MCU. Marvel Comics universe would be great. I remember when they were talking about when Doctor Strange was going around, there were a bunch of really cool fans who were like, "Oh, Halloran should totally play Doctor Strange," and I was like, "I think they're talking about Cumberbatch." I'm nowhere, but literally had this online petition at one time. So anything in the MCU would have been great. Anything in the DCU is really great. And then either Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. Like, listen, Peter Jackson want to put me, I'll fly back down to New Zealand and be something that's in nothing but makeup. And then Star Wars, of course, the first universe that I knew besides Star Trek. Star Wars is another one where, hey man, put me in an Imperial Guard outfit, or put me into some sort of alien makeup in some bar. Listen, I could be some sort of, attendant clerk, as it would be in some alien world on Mandalorian. I don't care. I would love to be a part of that. So it's nice to know that these universes that we love, that we mention in our own movies, are really come from the heart because we are genuinely fans of these universes.
It's cool you mentioned too. I mean, it's got to be an uplifting feeling to know that the community, the online community, is just pushing for more of you.
Yeah, it is fun to see that the fans enjoy my work and they want to see more of what I can do. And I've been very flattered, but also very privileged to have been worked in a different bunch of people's films that I've enjoyed being a part of. But yeah, if I could get on, Favreau's good side, and next thing you know, I'm in either Mandalorian or the story of Boba Fett or something. I don't care. Something would be great.
Well, it has been a pleasure. You're talking to a fan myself here, and it's been great. Brian O'Halloran from Clerks fame. This has been Mike Dolce from the Rogue Wave podcast. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Again, so excited to have done those interviews. Just because, again, these are two gentlemen that Clerks is one of my favorite movies of all time. To chronologically say that correctly, or grammatically, and to be able to sit and actually interview them. The funny thing is, we have a lovely editing department, but the interview with Jeff Anderson at some point, because I was doing it solo. I have the camera on a tripod, and the tripod decided to go whoop. And there is actual footage of him starting to answer a question and turning his head as he does it. But we edited that out. If you go to the Rogue Matter app and download it, maybe we'll put the uncut interview in there at some point as exclusive material, so you get to see my visible frustration that I finally get to interview. I don't want to call him a hero. That's too strong of a word, but I adored that character, and to to interview that actor was a real treat for me. So you could visibly see me going, I sounded like Casey Jones in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when he was mocking
little Primatine will clear that up.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe we'll release that as bonus content at one time. But I hope you enjoyed the interviews. Tune in next week. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wave podcast.